As we've been looking at flow in the last few episodes, now we want to look at how can we learn to enter the flow state on demand. Well, if you look at yogi masters and you look at their brains, and we do a analysis of their brain patterns, they're able to get into flow very easily. But it took them 30 years of meditating every day and doing practices like that in order to get to this state. Well, it turns out that we can teach you in a few days how to do this. What took them years to develop because they weren't taught, they were just said, okay, go down, sit down, think about nothing. And eventually they intuitively over time, they figured out how to do this stuff. Well, we don't have 30 years to spend meditating in order to get to a flow state. So what we can do is we can teach you in a few days how to control your brain frequencies and how to get to this alpha level, which is the crux of where flow exists. So the best way to learn flow is to learn to meditate. And when we learn to meditate, we become deeply aware of our inner self, allowing us to be more mindful of our thoughts and emotions. As we learn to focus on our breath, our body and our mind become relaxed. We enter a state of inner peace and stillness. This inner peace and stillness is the key to entering flow, as it allows us to open up to new ideas and experiences without being overwhelmed by our thoughts and emotions. Meditation also allows us to become more aware of our physical senses, which can be used to identify when we're entering flow. By paying attention to the way we feel in our body, we can learn to recognize flow. We can use meditation to deepen our experience and stay in the present moment. So in this way, we can learn how to stay in flow. So in the class that I teach, it's called the Silva Method. And it happens to be a 4-day meditation training class. It was developed in the 1950s and 1960s. And we altered the class in about 2007 or so. We updated it with some new techniques and things. But essentially what we're teaching you is how to enter altered states of consciousness and go into this flow state on demand. And we have a number of different techniques for that. We have something called the 3-finger technique. We have a thing that we create in our mind called the laboratory. And when we go to the laboratory level, it triggers our mind to go into this creative dimension, or basically entering into a flow state. We have something called connection to source energy. We can tap into our creative dimension. We have techniques called hollow viewing, a mirror of the mind. We create something called a mental screen. We have a program called Connection to Purpose. We have something called Fantastic Voyage. We do remote viewing. We do healing. We focus on remembering dreams. We work on sleep management, which is a key aspect to being able to get into flow easier by getting regular sleep. And overall, we have 29 techniques and meditations that we use in order to get you to this state. Now, our goal in here is to become more creative, to be more intuitive, to be able to help people, and to get to this flow state so we can work better and we can be more creative and more productive in our lives. And many companies have used this before they came out with the fancy words of flow and how they were looking at the metrics on the advantages of it. There's been companies that are using this over the course of the last 30, 40 years, and they've been very successful at having their key people become more creative, more productive, and more intuitive on their jobs. So if you're interested in this, as any of this has piqued your interest, please go to my website, sign up for one of my classes, or send me a question or so if you have any questions on this. We're glad to answer the questions. But go to my website, sign up for one of the classes, and start using flow in your daily life today.